I have family members, I have friends who get very angry when I say that, because
Sure.
there is an understanding of a long tradition of Jewish social justice work, and I'm not negating that.
Sure.
But he said, if you were still in conversation, if you were still parts of the movement, if you were still demonstrating allyship, you would have been part of the conversations and the movement building
Sure.
that generated these documents.
Welcome to Bringing It to the Table with Whit and Flo.
The Black-Jewish friendship you didn't know you needed.
We talk about identity, faith, and justice.
And whatever else comes up when two educated, opinionated, badass women come to the table.
Tell me a little bit about what it means to you, because you said I'm a proud Jew. And I think about my Jewish friends who perhaps have taken off their kippah or, tuck their Star of David in such a raging time of anti-Semitism. But to hear you say I'm a proud Jew really makes me think of the James Brown song, I'm Black and I'm Proud.
Ooh.
So let's spend some time there. What does it mean for you to be an Ashkenazi Jewish woman who's a triple citizen, overall powerhouse? Like, tell the people who you are.
Oh God, thank you. I am an American Jewish Israeli woman who is the granddaughter of a survivor.
Yeah.
I am a progressive Jew. I am a graduate. Please.
Survivor. For the folks who may not know, what does that mean?
My grandfather, when he was in high school, was told that he was no longer welcome in that classroom and to leave.
Mercy.
I have been to that street in Vienna. The elementary school he went to and the high school were maybe a 10-minute walk on a bad day from the house he grew up in. And he walked into school one day and they said, "You're not welcome here." So his older brother had told him to join the Blau und Weiß, the blue and white youth group. Survivor is a legal definition today because it determines who's eligible for reparations, which is a topic I think we're probably going to talk about later.
Absolutely.
So my grandfather received reparations for being kicked out of Austria during the Holocaust. Which means that legally maybe he was not a survivor of camps in the Holocaust, but he escaped the Holocaust and we had family members who were killed. So I'm the granddaughter of an immigrant. I am trained in conservative Jewish theology, though my practice today is more Jewish renewal, which has more of an emphasis on music and spirituality. The conservative movement is a very intellectual movement, and you'll hear more of that in the way I talk about Jewish law, halakha, Jewish law, the way I talk about theology and about God and about Jewish practice. It is a hard time, Whitney. It's a really hard time. I am, as an Ashkenazi Jew in America, I have white privilege, and I don't deny that. But it is getting scarier and scarier today to be Jewish in America. Anti-Semitism feels racialized, even if Jewish identity is not. And your question was, what does it mean to be a proud Jew? I don't want my Jewish identity or my Jewish being to be defined by the negative. To be defined by anti-Semitism, to be expressed in anti-Semitism.
Justice, liberation, and joy is and are my favorite parts about being Black. Like, that we pursue them, that we embrace them, that we, our lives are painted by them. Like, it's kind of cool being Black.
My whole body relaxes every time I talk to you. And one of the things from the moment we met, I see myself in you. I see that we both have behaviors that are the result of the collective trauma that our people have experienced and passed on to us. And I also see that we have the same values. That similar things bring us joy. That we struggle with expectations from our communities, from our families that are very much in line with one another.
Absolutely.
And so, I don't know if what we're doing talking across this table is novel.
Well, Flo, how often do, I was kind of joking, but like a Black woman and a Jewish woman walk into a podcast studio, like, how often does that happen?
In Kansas City?
I mean, fair. I don't know what happened. Listen, let me tell you something about Kansas City. Anyway, my brain is wondering, why people aren't having conversations like this. Like, why do you, because I was searching for Black Jewish podcasts, like just like what we have, and was having a very difficult time finding them, like especially between two women. So what do you imagine is happening? Why is that happening? Or not happening?
I mean, here's one thing I'll say. We are living in a particular moment, but we are always living in a particular moment. So when somebody ever uses the phrase like now more than ever, actually try and never use the phrase now more than ever, because it's always now more than ever, and we're not in a one way. But I think two things. In this particular moment, Rabbi Sharon Brous wrote in The Amen Effect that we're living at a time where if you think differently than me, I don't just disagree with you, but you're evil.
Sure.
Not you.
Sure.
And so on one level, we are so divided that we are not having conversation at all because we are demonizing the other.
Right.
On the flip side, I think people are afraid and anxious and nervous to talk about identity or to have conversations that directly engage with difference. So my question back to you is, if people aren't having these conversations, why are we able to? Because we don't, and we won't shy away from the moments they're going to sting a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the real change and the real connection happens. You and I believe we're able to do that. I hope we're always able to do that. Why are we able to model that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think one of the reasons why we are able to engage in dialogue is because we see our differences as enhancers for our relationship instead of roadblocks for our relationship. I think in a time where division has almost become like commodified, right? Like we say like, okay, this is different. Let's talk through it. Let's think through it. And let's think about how those differences actually make us better together, right? Like, I'll never forget when you were talking to me about the story of Esther, and you were talking to me about what Talmudic wisdom says about it. And I was like, wait, what? What about Esther? What about Mordecai? Like, what are we doing? What are we talking about? But like, us being raised in those different traditions just enhanced our understanding of that very powerful person in our shared faiths. I think another reason why we're able to come together like this is because we've put our ego to the side and said, I am more human every time I talk to you. I understand my humanity better because of the way I get to engage with you. And I think that that's the so what.
You know, I would even say I'm able to identify and name and process some of the trauma and pain and behaviors I carry. I feel more human. I understand how those have come to play because our lived experiences, while very specific and very different, we walk in the world in different places, we experience the digital world in different algorithms, but I can identify these shared experiences. I can identify how trauma plays out in our lives, how urgency plays out in our lives, how perfectionism plays out in our lives.
Absolutely.
We know those are all the result of systemic oppressions, by which I mean anti-Semitism, anti-Black racism,
that's right,
sexism.
That's right.
And with you, like other friends, but especially our connection, I'm able to exist better in the world when I'm able to see those and express those and move through my day with your friendship.
I think, and you know I love you, I think that we should probably tell them how we met, because this is a good opportunity. We're all like, I love you, I'm so much more human, I'm so much more human. But that wasn't how we started, Flo.
How long have we known each other?
Love. 2 to 3.
I think it's been less than a year.
Stop. It's been
it's
1 and
possible.
2. It's between 1 and 2.
We met on a Zoom call
in 2024.
In August of 2024.
That's right.
Okay. And like the moment I saw you on the Zoom screen, I was like, yes.
Right.
So talk to.
Tell the
and
people.
Wait, one other thing. As part of that, can you talk about how long you have been working in the Jewish ecosystem?
Yeah. Yep. So I've been working in the Jewish ecosystem for a little over 4 years. And so I tell people all the time, I'm a better Christian because I've gotten to work in the Jewish ecosystem, because, spoiler alert, Jesus was Jewish. So not understanding anything about Judaism is actually silly. And so you were pitching an idea to an organization that I worked for. Do you remember? You remember how that conversation went? You were tired. I was tired. What happened?
We had requested some feedback, and
Yes.
the conversation was like a little bit awkward.
Yes.
And
You said,
I think I can share this.
Yes. You said, can somebody just tell me what the truth is? Can you just tell in your very low way? You were like, listen, I'm tired. I'm sleep deprived. Can somebody please just tell me what the truth is? And I said, yes, I can tell you the truth. You cannot be a white presenting Jewish woman that runs an organization on an HBCU campus and you ain't got no black folk anywhere around you. And you were like, that's what I needed. I needed somebody to tell me that. And then you called me after that call or the very next day, and what'd you ask me to do?
I need you to join my board.
And I joined your board, and we've been friends ever since. So I think that radical candor actually was what kickstarted us, catapulted us from colleagues into friends very quickly, because we established I can be honest with you and you can be honest with me.
That's right. That's right. And we can use the words Jew and black
That's right.
and faith,
That's
and
right.
we're not going to shy away.
That's right.
My work deals with Israel
Yep.
and race.
Yes.
And anti-Semitism and anti-black racism.
Yes.
On university campuses.
And my work when I had that position was working with Jewish people of color and eliminating barriers and creating opportunities for them that existed within the Jewish ecosystem, because there was some present like lingering isms, some ableism, some classism, some racism, some sexism, some isms. And so I helped organizations think through how to combat those isms in a systemic way. So not just like one person at a time, but really getting to the root of where that ism was coming from.
And I want to, by the way, as we recall those early conversations, I want to acknowledge here, as we meet at the table and as we continue these conversations, we want to elevate other voices in the room. We want to invite other voices to the table.
That's right.
We want to make sure that we are bringing Black Jewish voices to the table
That's
with
right.
us.
That's right. I'm not a proxy.
And we are not a monolith, and we cannot speak for everyone. And
That's right.
We may need to say that every single episode.
Every episode. Yeah, it's funny. I was telling you about when I went to Israel for the first time, and I was in Jerusalem, and there was one person who found me out of all of the people. It was after a bat mitzvah. We were sitting outside, we were enjoying like snacks, and this person said to me, "What are black people doing about the anti-Semitism problem?" And I was like, "You mean like today, like right now in Jerusalem, like what?" But that person felt so empowered to ask me to serve as a spokesperson for my people. And I thought two things. One, I was like, how did this person find me all the way in darn Jerusalem? But the next thing I thought was, that person needed someone, a physical manifestation of a problem and a solution.
I just want to be clear, this was not a person you knew.
No.
You were existing in Jerusalem,
In
where
Jerusalem.
admittedly,
Yes.
there are not a lot of black folks
And be
walking
fair, I was
around.
the only black person there.
That doesn't mean that you were inviting that conversation.
Absolutely
That
not.
doesn't mean that
No.
you were going to speak up to the answer. And by the way, what are Jewish people doing about anti-black racism today?
I definitely was like, hold on, wait. Do you want me to answer for all of the anti-Semitism in North America? Like right now, like I'm mid-popsicle. But I think what she was, if I could be gracious, I think what she was actually asking for was like, where are the black people during or in the midst of Jewish suffering?
I'm going to interject right now because
Yeah.
we are in the midst of a lot of Jewish suffering, and I think we are always in the midst in America of a lot of black suffering. And I want to say, and I want to point out, the people that have been most supportive to me, the people that have shown up, the people that have been the first to call and say, "Are you okay?" are my black colleagues and partners and friends. So I just want to make sure anybody that says, is there even a place for conversation between black and Jewish communities right now?
Right.
You got to show up. You got to be in relationship.
Yes.
Can I tell you one of the experiences that changed my life
Yeah.
was when the Black Lives Matter platform came out. And so many Jews, not all Jews, but so many Jews supported, believed in, and advocate for Black Lives Matter.
Yes.
Maybe not enough, and maybe not widespread enough.
Right.
And then the platform came out, and many Jews were upset.
Yeah, anti-Semitic.
And without getting into the details of that document, which we can talk about later, I read a piece by Shays Rishon that said, where were you?
Yeah.
You're upset now that the platform's out, but where were you during the struggle?
Yep.
Where were you when the platform was being written?
Yep.
White Jews became white,
Yep.
because not all Jews
Yep.
are Ashkenazi,
Absolutely.
white, but white Jews became white in America, and stop being a part of the struggle. Now, I have family members, I have friends who get very angry when I say that, because there is an understanding of a long tradition of Jewish social justice work, and I'm not negating that.
Sure.
But he said, if you were still in conversation, if you were still parts of the movement, if you were still demonstrating allyship, you would have been part of the conversations and the movement building that generated these documents.
Well, I think a couple things about the BLM movement, and these conversations are meant to spark other conversations, so here we go. I think that there was anti-Semitism present in the BLM movement is, in my brain, why the BLM movement didn't go as far as it could go, right? Because an injustice anywhere is an injustice everywhere, right? However, my brain also says Black people, and Black women in particular, are continually putting our bodies on the line to combat systems of oppression. Think about Harriet Tubman, think about Sojourner Truth, think about Ida B. Wells, think about, as we keep on going down the line, right? Heck, even Kamala Harris, right? We continue to be at the forefront of trying to bring our communities along. And BLM, by the way, was founded by 3 Black women. Queer Black women. I think that in an attempt to get things perfect, we met, in an attempt to say, I'm not going to do that until it's perfect, or I'm not going to do that until it's a well-oiled machine, that gets in the way of something happening, right? BLM was a grassroots movement of 3 Black women who said, enough. I'm stinking tired. I don't want a system. I don't want a grant. I don't want somebody to, I don't want to wait for somebody to come alongside me. I want to do this now. And I think that some things got lost along the way. And to your point, as long as we see Jewish people as white, it will continue to be this dichotomous Black-white issue, but all Jews aren't white.
One point of clarification, and then one big question. Point of clarification, I heard you say BLM did not go farther than it did because of anti-Semitism.
Yes.
So are you staking a claim that part of what limited the BLM movement was a relationship to Jews?
I think that it was a hostility towards certain elements of the Jewish community that stopped it from being as successful as it could be.
And were there other isms and other oppressions that also, or was this really for you core to what?
Yeah, I think that's where it lost its. Well, first of all, I think that they were victims of racism, right? And I think once people decide that they don't want a movement to go forward, then they start to funnel as much negativity as humanly possible. Because the truth of the matter is, right, the BLM movement perhaps could have been saved if they'd come to the table, right? Like if the movement would have come together with Jewish leadership and said, how can we fix this? How can we do better? Whatever, if there was a learning moment. That's not necessarily what happened. And so my wonder is how, again, anti-Semitism kicked off the fizzling out, but racism ensured that it was going to never go any further than it did.
I am really surprised by hearing how central a reaction to Judaism and Jewish people was to a national Black movement. That's new to me and very interesting.
Yeah. Well, if we think about the civil rights movement, right? And Van Jones says it beautifully. He says, I need us to stop thinking all the Black folks and all the Jewish folks were having a party and fighting for the civil rights movement. It was a core group of Jewish folks and it was a core group of Black folks that said, no matter what, we have a shared enemy, a shared oppressive system that we have to fight against. I think in the BLM movement, we said Black Lives Matter, and what we heard was, no, Blue Lives Matter, and all lives matter, and no. There wasn't that same coming alongside, and even now we still don't have that same coming alongside. So what's the so what, Flo? The so what for today's episode is that if we don't see our oppressions as shared, if we don't destigmatize the idea that all Jewish people are white, if we don't remember that Black people have helped Jewish people and Jewish people have helped Black people, then we are doomed to be using our resources to fight a common system of evil in the wrong way.
And you said in that first conversation where we spoke that you are committed to building Black-Jewish solidarity.
That's right.
To build a bridge that is unbreakable for
right.
our collective liberation.
Collective.
And I sign on to that, and I am committed to that, that this is not about one of us helping the other one of us. This is about us having a shared destiny that is stronger together.
That's right. So now it's your turn. Take this talk, sit with it, talk to your people, and see what comes up. Whether you're at the Shabbat table,
the Sunday dinner table,
or the coffee table, don't forget to bring it. And remember, you always have a seat at our table.